Hello and welcome to the second episode of The Out of Towners. I'm Prash, and alongside me, as always,
He's James, back again for another week.
Fantastic stuff. Before we go any further, I just want to say that today's show has been brought to you by our good friends at Carling to Craft. So if you look them up on Instagram, look for Carling to Craft. That's Carling, the number 2, and Craft on Instagram. He reviews some really interesting beers, and he's very kindly sent us a crate of a beer that he has collaborated with, which you can also order online from truestorybrewing.com, and he's got a discount code which is Carling to Craft number 10, so that's Carling to Craft 10, and if you go to truestorybrewing.com you can get yourself a crate of some really lovely IPA that they've come up together with in collaboration, and it's the Brewmigos True Story. If you take a look at that and get involved in some quality beers, but hopefully those will be arriving for us very soon, and we should be recording the next episodes with a bit of libation. But yeah, without any further ado, let's move on to episode 2. So James, obviously we weren't around last Monday.
Missed our slot, busy watching the Newcastle game.
Yes, right, exactly. So let's just quickly touch upon that.
So, yeah, interesting game. 3-2, I think a very late victory, very hard fought victory.
Indeed, the bumholes were definitely, tweeting a bit like...
Yeah, I think we've done well to come away with no injuries.
Yes.
And I think that was the kind of game that we could have slipped up on. Newcastle through the kitchen sink. They came with a game plan.
Understandably so.
Unsettle us as much as possible.
Totally.
And then try and get the victory. Thankfully, saved by a 16-year-old.
And what a 16-year-old. I think we mentioned him very briefly in the first podcast, but yeah, my God, if ever there was a Roy of the Rovers moment, that was it for him to come on and score that goal.
Yeah, for sure.
Impressive. It was a great game again, similar to the Bournemouth game in terms of what you'd want to advertise the Premier League, not even the Premiership anymore, but the Premier League as. That would be the game that you would sort of pinpoint as well.
Definitely end to end, physical, maybe a bit too physical.
Certainly from Newcastle's point of view, I thought they were out to kill us. It felt that night, but
yeah, good game to come through, and then that leads us on to the game that happened over the weekend, which was the Arsenal game. Yep.
Let's talk about that briefly as well. Again, I would say, from my point of view, that it wasn't a very memorable game, other than a few key moments.
I think you'll find most title games, which we all call a title game this early in the season, are like games of chess now. They're much more, no one wants to make a mistake. I'd say Arsenal very much came for a draw. They realised they're coming to Anfield. They knew what they were coming up against. They'd come to not lose. Yeah,
they seemed really robotic. Watching that performance, I don't know what it is with the way that team's set up, but it just didn't feel like they were really going to get anything from it. It almost seemed like their first game against Man United, it was similar in terms of setup, that they were looking for set pieces. They thought, okay, Liverpool have a weakness with set pieces. So that's what we're going to do. Just go for the jugular, go for set pieces. And
I think the Newcastle game gave us plenty of practice at set pieces. And I think that may have led on to this game. I think Konate was definitely back to a better form than he has been in recent
He seems to have
games.
Got his act together, hasn't he?
Whether or not that's just warming up as the season goes, or whether he's gone, hang on a second, Gay's chats in the background. Let's step up, because I don't want to be losing my spot to somebody that comes in.
I hope, that being said, that, and we'll touch upon the whole transfer window malarkey saga, and not getting Gahey, what that means for Konate, because perhaps there was an element of complacency that's come into his game. Maybe now that we aren't getting Gahey, is he going to sort of take the foot off the pedal, or is it going to be very much, I'm in the shop window, I want, there's lots of different thoughts that could be running through his mind, or maybe he's just going to be a consummate professional and play. And who knows if he continues this way, and we know that he enjoys playing for Liverpool. He enjoys being at the club. He's got friends there, XYZ. will he sign a new contract? These are all things that will come further down the line, which we will touch upon.
And only time will tell.
Yeah.
We might even put it down to the fact that it's the first game he's played with the same right back for a second game in a row, albeit not a right back, but what a game Szoboszlai had.
Wow. I mean, he did it in the Newcastle game where he didn't finish the game at right back and moved into his preferred sort of right midfield position, or in the game against Newcastle. But wow, what a phenomenal player he is, and he almost. Well, I say he did. He filled that void that we've had since Trent has left.
Yep.
There was a couple of passes he zinged across right from the back that Trent would have been proud of, and he found. I think he found Gakpo with one of his passes. Incredible.
Trent must be sat on the bench at Real Madrid watching games like that, going, "What have I done?"
Yeah, what could have been? He could have been the hero against Arsenal. But yeah, let's move on to that. The Szoboszlai goal. Whew. What a zinger!
Yeah, I listened to Joe Hart break that goal down because there was a lot of talk about the goalkeeper not being in the right place, not doing this, not doing that. Joe Hart broke it down and said the only way that goal was going in if it was perfect. And he said sometimes you just got to put your hands up and say that free kick was perfect.
It really was, wasn't it?
I don't know if there's many goalkeepers that had got to that.
No, in all fairness, I mean, Raya's had his critics at times, and he has been, a bit wanting, but you can't really fault him. His concentration was on point for that game, and it was just an absolute bullet that nobody would have saved.
That is arguably a title-winning free kick, because it does come down to these head-to-head games at the end of the season.
Well, the funny thing is, he does it for Hungary all the time.
Yeah,
the goals that he scores for them and the free kicks that he hits in, it's so nice and so satisfying to see him pull it off in such an important game. So early on in the season.
I just loved his post-match interview when they asked him how he did it. And he was like, I can't tell you. I just do it. I practice it a lot and away it goes.
Absolutely. Yeah, quality player. I'm so glad that, it's almost like he's found his secondary role in the team because, with Florian Wirtz coming in and, the midfield having this major sort of shift around, there was a worry that he might have got lost in the shuffle a bit like Harvey Elliott, but Dom Szoboszlai is a quality player, and that obviously shines through.
Yeah, I think talking about all players, I think Wirtz started to show a little bit of his promise. He was a lot more on the ball, getting some shots away, getting some cheeky touches. Yeah, starting to get in there. I think the team are starting to gel a bit. I think Wirtz coming in really upsets the team, not necessarily in a bad way, but he's really disturbed that midfield three, which were solid for all of last season, and changes the way the team play. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes moving forwards. Nice to see him getting some more minutes in his legs. I know he started to pull up a bit towards the end. But
absolutely. Yeah, well, I mean, so, I think we came away from that, obviously, with the 3 points and being very happy and seeing that a lot of the other teams around us haven't necessarily capitalised, other than Chelsea, who look good value for money at the moment.
Yeah, we'll touch on the rest of the game shortly. I just wanted to point out how much it was nice to see Gomez back on the pitch, Joe Gomez.
Oh, yeah.
And how well he actually played. I think when he came on for Konate, which we're just talking beforehand, we're hoping that it's just a cramp and he'll be back to full fitness soon. But yeah, Gomez, for someone who hasn't played a lot, looked very sharp and made quite a few key interceptions and whatnot towards the end of the game, especially.
I would agree. Yeah, it's a question of whether we can keep the centre backs that we have at full fitness. So, okay, we didn't get Mark Gahey in the transfer window, which we know about now. Again, that will be talked about a bit later, but we still have 4 quality centre backs in theory.
Yeah,
we've got Virgil, we've got Konate. Yep. We've got Leone now, the young.
Yeah. Looking forward to seeing what he brings.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously Gomez, and then even if you look further afield, we can have Endo playing as a centre back, and even Gravenberch can play centre back. Yeah. So we're not completely, all at sea without having Mark Gahey as quality as he would have been. There's worse problems to have, isn't there?
Yeah, you can have too much of a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
which I think we might start finding with our striking line, but we'll look at that. Should we have a look at games around
Yes.
up and down the league, things that impact Liverpool directly, things that change the league a bit.
Yep.
So you've already touched on Chelsea. Chelsea are going about their business quite quietly. Another 2-0 win against Fulham.
Just getting on with it. That wasn't without its controversies.
No, so that gives them, 2 wins and a draw out of their first 3 games.
Yep.
Cole Palmer being out the team, I thought was going to give them problems, but I'd almost say it seems to be...
They seem to have a lot of depth. Yeah. They do.
Albeit they've not played anyone overly noteworthy as of yet,
right?
Without being too offensive to the teams they've played. But once they get up against the big teams, we'll see how they carry on. Spurs, surprisingly, they were my outsiders at the beginning of the season. We spoke about them in the last podcast, losing 1-0 to Bournemouth.
See, now, I think this is interesting. We obviously played Bournemouth the first game of the season, right? And everyone expected, because they lost their back four, essentially, that we were just going to absolutely screw them over and tonk them. Spurs had a great deal of difficulty. And I can't figure out whether it's just because Thomas Frank made really poor selections, if you will, or whether it's just because Iraola sets up so well.
Yeah. Let's put it into numbers. So Spurs had 61% of the possession.
Right.
Only 5 shots, 1 on target.
Wow.
So out of the 39 possession, Bournemouth had 20 shots, 6 on target.
Which is incredible.
Yeah. But it was all Spurs possession. They were well ahead on the passes. They were well ahead on the possession. And Bournemouth seemed to be...
Took their chance well.
Must be the counter-attacking. They must be breaking it down in the right places. And when you got someone like Semenyo,
quality player.
I think just on his own, he's an outlet for them.
Yeah, I mean, we can't discount the fact that as well as Bournemouth losing their defence, essentially, they lost a quality player in Ouattara, who went to Brentford.
Yeah.
So there are gaps obviously that team have, but they just seem to cope really well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rule them out of finishing outside of relegation zone.
Yes. So Spurs were a shock. Out of the big teams that were up the top last season, Newcastle obviously drew with Leeds. We know their problems. They lost all their players last week to injury or suspension.
Of course.
They just don't have a striker. They've signed a few, so we'll see what happens with them. But...
Well, yeah, it's interesting that you say, because obviously the whole merry-go-round with Isak and hopefully he'll be unveiled either later tonight or tomorrow as a Liverpool player. But the plays that they did get in, obviously, the mirror image from Brentford with Johan Wissa signing, that will help them. The guy, I never know how to pronounce his name. I just keep thinking Voldemort whenever I hear his. Obviously the guy looks nothing like him, so no disrespect. But the 6'5" German Peter Crouch with the name like a Harry Potter villain. I have never heard of him, never seen him, but there are.
I know Bayern Munich were interested, so he's obviously got some credentials.
And he is a German international. I think he played in the youth, the Euros for the under-21s.
Yep.
And I think he may have had a call up to the main national team as well. So,
but they've spent a lot of money on somebody that they had already in Callum Wilson that could have been sat there. I know he's an injury risk and barely plays any games, although he did score for West Ham at the weekend, I think. He's
not. I think Callum Wilson's probably been a bit shortchanged in some respects, but it is what it is.
Big result of the weekend, I would say. Brighton beating Man City.
Incredible. It's like how we used to call Tottenham Spursy. Man City have got an element of that at the moment, it seems.
I think Man City have lost the fear factor. I don't think teams are afraid of them anymore. They've seen most teams get at them.
Yeah,
and they're going for it. I think there's a lot of publicity about strikers and attacking midfielders that Pep keeps throwing out there, but I think they're defensively vulnerable.
Been found out. Yeah, they have been found out. They don't have that the element of the fear factor that used to creep into the game quite a lot. In previous seasons, where they just seemed so unassailable. And I know it's still very early on in the season to be saying who's definitely up there or down there for sure. But put it this way, in previous seasons when it was Liverpool Man City, as much of an enjoyable, exciting time as it was, I didn't look forward to it. Now I'm kind of licking my lips at the thought of it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think there's anything to be fearful of anymore.
Yeah.
I think they can score goals. Let's not beat around the bush.
Of
Haaland
course.
can score goals.
Yeah,
Most
does.
of their players can pull something magical out, but as a team, I don't think they've got that it anymore. That X factor. I think that's gone. I think their defence is a bit all over the place. Although, all right, it's playing Pep and it's very well structured, but I don't think they are as watertight as they used to be.
The game is changing somewhat, I think, and maybe Pep isn't necessarily keeping up with it and just sticking with what he knows. I mean, they did lose Marmoush, didn't they? I think he's injured at the moment.
He did play at the weekend. He came
did.
off in the 72nd minute.
Maybe I've just made that up.
Yeah, I know their who was there. One of their signings is out. One of the new guys. I can't think of his name now.
Okay,
but yeah. Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Sure.
Nice to see James Milner on the score sheet.
Legend, and again his goal celebration.
Yeah, touch of class. I think that was.
Yeah. Always got a lot of love for Millie.
What a career he's had! First goal he scored in the Premier League at 16, and he's just scored again at 39.
It's mad, isn't it? That's just what a career he's had, and what a decorated player, and what a consummate professional.
Yeah, but yet everybody refers to him as boring James Milner. The blokes want everything going in football.
He seems to be like I'm just watching old Liverpool clips of him in the team, but the level of bants that guy brought, I think I'd love to see him back when his playing career's over in some kind of coaching capacity, because he's just
he's a proper team player though.
Really
come on and play anywhere, he'll do any job, and the consummate professional, always the fittest at pre-season when they're doing all their tests and whatnot. So
it's mad because he used to do, I think it was the lactic test, wasn't it? And he would win it every year.
In his 30s, and there's all the youngsters just watching him run and run and run.
And you'd have thought it would have been Mo Salah as a shoo-in for that, because if you look at the guy, he doesn't look like he's got an ounce of body fat on him.
No.
But yeah, Milner's made from different stuff.
Yeah, but that weekend of results really shakes up the top of the league. So obviously we're unbeaten. 3 from 3.
Long may it continue.
Yeah, Chelsea are 2 points behind now. Arsenal, I think that's going to be a real psychological blow for Arsenal.
I would agree.
To drop those points to Liverpool so early, I think is going to be a real psychological blow. That when you follow a Man United game when they struggled to get anywhere.
Yeah.
I'd give United a little bit of credit there. I think they've dropped off since then, but there we go. Spurs again, same kind of position. So, and then the shock all the way down in 13th is Man City. Newcastle are down in 17th. So they were the big teams from last season. We'll ignore Spurs. Spurs were right down there. But
I do wonder, with everything coming to a head now with the whole Isak saga, with I know I keep going on and banging on about it, but I do wonder whether that will lead to bigger and better things for Newcastle pushing on. Now that that's the sort of the albatross around their neck done with, is it now more likely for them to push on and get more points and get basically Eddie Howe, as we know, is. And I'm pretty sure we've spoken about it before, that he's if you were a player like a diamond in the rough, then he's the kind of manager that you would want.
Oh yeah,
because he does it with players. He did it with Isak.
He's done it for years.
Yeah, that's what his thing is.
You look at what he did with that Bournemouth team, and from where he got them to where they are now.
Exactly, it was an absolute revelation. So he may well do the same with Voldemort or whatever his name is again. Well,
I think you've got Visser. He's proven, isn't he?
Yeah.
You give him service, he shows what he can do. Like what he did at Brentford was quite impressive.
4 years he gave Brentford 4 years, and he was quality, good value for those 4 years.
Yeah. My shock result for the weekend was West Ham winning
a game.
Forest. I picked West Ham as my team to be the one that were going to be down there struggling, and the first 2 games showed that quite clearly. But beating Forest 3-0.
Jared Bowen leading from the front.
I really don't know what's happened to Forest. I thought they were going to be quite a threat again. I don't know whether the looming European football, they've played some European football, haven't they?
Oh, yeah, of course,
it's starting to take its toll. But again, Forest had the majority of the possession. Shots were kind of equal. It just
wasn't their day.
No. So yeah, West Ham were a team that I thought were going to be right down there, but that was a bit of a surprise.
That might be the boon that they've needed to suddenly come up and be, just get a few more results under their belt and kind of get out of that danger zone.
Yeah, and along with that, the Aston Villa result, losing 3-0 to Palace. Not to say that Palace aren't a good team, but Aston Villa really haven't started well this season.
All that game made me do is salivate for us getting Mark Gahey, because that goal he scored
would have been a wonderful send-off for him.
Yeah, exactly.
To leave on a high,
written.
But we'll get onto that in a bit.
Hove,
yeah. So I think that sums up the key results. I think it's all gone in our favour this weekend.
Yep.
And right before an international break, it's always a great time to be 3 points clear or 2 points clear and a bit of daylight.
Absolutely. I liken that to getting a goal just before half time. It feels like that's what you want going into some kind of small little break. And with it being an international break, what I hope is that our players who are called up don't get injured. That's my main concern now, is that we keep all of our internationals who are, the guys who are playing in for their national teams that are fine.
Definitely.
The only one you'd really want to sort of, get that game time and not worry too much about him being protected is Alexander Isak. And I'm glad that he'll be getting a few minutes. I can't see him necessarily starting for us straight away.
Well, he's not kicked a ball since the end of last season.
So I can imagine that he's going to, it's good that he'll get these minutes. It's not necessarily enough. And I think that with any luck, Slot will keep him protected for at least the first few matches.
I think, you will look at what Slot's done currently, and he's been bringing off the new signings 60, 70 minutes. He's realised they haven't got the time in their legs, some of them that haven't had pre-seasons. He's been bringing Wirtz off 60, 70 minutes for the first couple of games. Ekitike, the same kind of thing.
Get them used to the pace of the league.
I know Wirtz has come out this week and said, I knew there would be a difference, but I didn't realise how physical and how quick the game would be in the Premier League. He's
to his credit, I think he's handled it pretty well.
Yeah, I think he's got a very level head. I think he rises to the occasion rather than some international players, when they come across, they can be, lost. They kind of wither and hide in the shadows, but I don't think he's that kind of a character, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
Which leads us really onto the transfer market. Now it's closed.
Yeah.
We're still looking at the fallout coming through to see what has gone through and what hasn't.
Yeah, it's interesting because, at the time of recording this, the transfer window's been shut for about an hour and 55 minutes. Obviously, we've touched upon Mark Gahey. I was absolutely fuming when they announced it. And then I hopped online to see David Ornstein had confirmed it via The Athletic. And he's generally someone you can be like,
yeah,
he says
it often.
He's not one for it. It seemed like it was all going so well as well, because obviously you wake up and you hear the news about Isak and you're like, okay, right.
Good start to the day.
Yeah, wasn't really sure about it before, but that the fact that we were able to reach an agreement with Newcastle, and I think that was 125 million is what they're mooting.
Yeah,
was the agreeing.
Straight fee as well.
No add-ons, no nothing, just a flat fee,
yeah.
which is great. I say it's great. It's obviously a British transfer record, and hopefully, I don't see it being a problem for him as a person to handle that kind of pressure. I think he'll be relieved because he's finally got his wish.
Yep.
We finally got our dream guy, supposedly, or Slot's dream guy.
Well, he's pretty good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, if we're going to really call it as it is, then he is without a doubt proven himself to be over the last 2-3 seasons to be probably one of the best, if not the best, striker in Europe.
Yeah. I wouldn't say there were many that would be contending with that. There's some very good goal scorers.
You have to look at PSG and guys like Dembele, who's had a bit of a upturn in his career.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think of Isak with his whole going on strike, refusing to play?
Honestly,
stamping his feet like a toddler, some may have said.
Yeah, it's unprofessional. If a player had done that for us, if we say I don't know, 2-3 years down the line, a player like Florian Wirtz establishes himself as like our talisman, Now, Alexander Isak was very much a talisman for Newcastle. He was their main guy.
Yeah.
Say if Wirtz or even Isak again becomes the main guy and does the same thing to us that he did to Newcastle, you'd be fuming, wouldn't you?
I think it's unusual. It seems to be happening more and more. Players kind of going on strike and going, I want the move.
I don't
like
like it. I don't like it. It's something, again, Simon Jordan touched upon it on TalkSport, and he made a really good point when he said, you wouldn't do that as a club. You wouldn't turn around to a player and basically say, well, I'm not going to pay you.
No, but clubs would turn around and say, we don't want you. You're out. You know, you haven't performed well enough in a couple of games. Yes, you've moved your whole family up here, but see you later.
I get it's a tit for tat. It can be tit for tat at times, but I think, you know, regardless, even if they do that, they're still paying the player. There's no breach of contract there.
Yeah.
What he's done in any other profession, if you went on strike, if I went on strike, whatever, you know, you'd just be like, well, you're not getting any money for it, are you?
Well, no, because you're refusing to work. So if you're not working,
there you go.
Yeah, I can't fault him for wanting the big move. You know, was he 25 now?
Yeah, I understand his motives, I guess, but I don't necessarily agree with the method, even if the means justifies.
I think we're spoiled. As much stick as Trent got last year, at least he played his contract out. Yes, all right, we could have got some money for him if he'd signed a contract, but he'd made his mind up, but he stuck to the team, he stuck to the club.
He wasn't unprofessional.
And he wasn't unprofessional. All right, a lot of people were upset, and I was probably one of them. I think
we were all a bit peed off that he'd done it.
Wound his contract down, but we managed to get 10 million out of it in the end, so it wasn't all the end of the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there are ways of doing things, you know. There's been many big moves on the cards for lots of teams. Look at Mark Gay. He's obviously been lined up for quite a while, still come out, done a full pre-season, played 3 games like it was going to be there for the rest of the season. Ironically, now he is. But
well, you say that, but you never know. Come January, it could be like a Virgil van Dijk situation. Hopefully he'll be posing, you know, in a Christmas jumper or a Liverpool shirt by his Christmas tree.
It would be interesting to see what they do there, because obviously his contract ends in the summer.
Right.
He's already said he wants to move on to bigger and better things. So it will be interesting to see if there is a January market just to get some money back for him.
I wouldn't rule it out. I can see Palace, the chairman there, I forget his name, but he'd accepted the bid, and I think, like, you know, the only reason it didn't go through was because they were scuppered by West Ham in getting the defender that they wanted. It could well happen again, you know. I wonder what it will do to Gahey personally, because he'd obviously, you know, as we quite rightly point out, the guy's a professional. He did whatever he needed to do. He didn't down tools. If anything, he's a complete antithesis to Isak and Wissa. In how he's conducted himself.
Gyökeres was the same. He was on a beach refusing to play, wasn't he?
Yeah.
They've all started to do it. I'm intrigued to see how much of this is players going, no, I want to carve my career, I'm going to make it happen, or whether it's agents going, you need to start rustling some feathers if you want to get out of here.
Right.
Players for years have all been all over the place, making moves in the background and whatnot.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, it doesn't sit well with me.
No, quite right. No, I'm exactly the same. I hope this doesn't become a worrying trend. I really hope it doesn't become a worrying trend. Let's hope that maybe it was just, you know, with it being quite a fantastical transfer window. I think it's one of the best transfer windows I've seen in recent years. Really exciting, really, you know, not without its talking points, as we're sat here discussing now.
Yeah, we obviously, Reds have done some incredible business. They've started very early.
Yeah.
And got business done quick. They got in Kirkes, Frimpong. We spoke about these last week. You know, very quick, get them settled, get them on the go. Ekitike came slightly later. He seems to be bedding in. Leone, yet to be seen, but he is a youngster. Like, if he's an understudy for Van Dijk, what a time to get him. What place to be.
We will see him. We will see a majority of the guys that we've signed. And yeah, again, it's been a generational transfer window from a Liverpool standpoint. with the guys that we've got in. I think we've bought 7 or 8 players that have come in, and obviously losing the likes of Luis Diaz.
That was my biggest concern, I think.
I think we're all slightly,
especially when you watch how well he's doing over in Bayern.
He's tearing up. But again, it's a different league, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not the Premier League, and yes, we do miss Luis Diaz. And again, losing Trent was a big one. The obviously the main one, which again I'm not going to keep banging on about it, but losing Diogo Jota. These are his especially was unaccountable. There was no plan.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Hey.
Just tragedy. Good ages. A lot of these players. Isaac turning up at 25,
and
same age,
5 or 6 year, 5 year contract, I think.
Same age as Salah when he turned up, and look what Salah's done in the 5, 6, 7 years he's been here now. Like, incredible. So if you start getting those kind of things, those numbers being hit by players like that, Wirtz is early 20s as well, with the
22,
potential. It's it will be interesting to see whether formations start to change as the season goes on.
Yeah.
I look at Ekitike and Isak, and you'd arguably say they're virtually carbon copies of each other.
Yeah.
They play very similar style. They've got their own uniqueness, obviously.
I think so, yeah. I think we touched upon that in the first episode, didn't we? How similar they are.
Is Ekitike going to start being pushed out left to give Gakpo a bit of breathing space? Was it 60-odd games a season you play now if you go all the way in the competition?
Yeah, pretty much.
There's not many players that are going to play every minute of every game.
And there's other things to take in: fatigue, injuries. Let's hope that we can, with the depth that we have, like especially up front, that we can risk manage, that the players will be all right as they go along. That you can interchange them as much as possible without too much issue.
Yeah. I can't remember who I was listening to. Somebody on the radio earlier, and they were saying, would you really buy 2 very similar strikers? Normally you buy very different strikers so you can change a game, you can do things differently. As in starting with one striker and bringing Darwin Núñez, for argument's sake, completely changes what you're doing. So if you started last season like with Jota playing through the middle,
and then you bring on the agent of chaos in the last 15 20 minutes,
it really changes a game. Are they too similar to upset a team, or is it bringing the same on but with fresh legs to go?
That's exactly what I was about to say. I think it is very much you are just replacing like for like but with a full battery, in theory.
Yes.
Which isn't a bad idea. It keeps things... Hopefully it doesn't make us too predictable in some respects, because, like losing Darwin Núñez, he was one guy, sorry, I meant to mention him, but for all the chances he may have blown, he did bring something extra to a game that a lot of teams just didn't know how to cope with.
Was it Newcastle last season where he scored a brace to win the game?
Like the dying minutes, basically. Yeah.
And I think the game last week would probably been prime example of when you'd want someone like that, because
thankfully Rio came on and did it. But
he's not afraid of headbutting a personal two. So when you've got Dan Burn marking you, I think it brings the fight back to them more than anything. I think that covers our transfers. I think we'll have a look up and down the league and see teams around us, what they've done business wise, and see how we think it's going to impact what's going on. I'll start with Arsenal, because obviously being closest contenders last season, everybody's gone, need a striker.
Well, they've done it, haven't they?
They've found a striker, they've gone for Gyökeres.
It's funny, isn't it? Because they haven't played with a traditional striker for quite a few years. And to see them getting a striker in, obviously, I don't know whether or not it's just because Arteta's thought that he wants to change the way it's played, because they always get goals. It's not like they were struggling for players to score, was it? I
think what it came down to is there was a few games last season they were drawing, and there was a lot of chat that, if you had a striker or somebody that could just get that last grasp goal, that you just gets you those points. And I think Arsenal probably lost the league last season on not scoring enough. Although they scored a lot, but there were lots of games where they just needed a goal. And you can play beautiful football, and you can pass it all around the box, trying to get it and pass it in the back of the net. But sometimes you just need a striker to stick their laces through it.
Oh, yeah, right.
And I think I think it'll be interesting to see. He's got a lot of stick, Gyökeres. A lot of people saying he's never played any decent level of football.
Yeah, I mean, so he was in the English leagues for a while, wasn't he? He's played Championship level
at
for Coventry,
wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he particularly pulled up.
I think he did all right and got himself a transfer out to Portugal,
Right.
Where on paper he was the highest goal scorer in Europe last season, but the way they work out the value of a goal depends on the league you're in, and because he was in the Portuguese league, it was
people view it as a farm league, don't they?
Of course they do. So it doesn't have the same weighting to it, which obviously meant that he didn't get given the accolade, but had scored a fair few goals.
Yeah.
Am I worried about it? From what I've seen so far, no.
No, fair enough.
It's one of those ones that I think, as time goes on, I think points might start ticking in their direction where they wouldn't have done last season. So I think it keeps the pressure on more.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, so the other big signing that Arsenal made today, just in time, I think, Piero Hincapié from Leverkusen, who I think was on our radar last season or season before last, looks to be a quality player. Will definitely add a bit more strength and depth for the Gunners.
Yes.
Whether or not, again, it's a question of a player coming in from the German league into the English league and needing time to adjust, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, I think quite a lot of players that come across from Germany take a little while to adapt. I think all players that come to the Premier League take a while to adapt. I think it's so much more, I don't know, physically demanding. I think it's end to end. I don't think there's any break in play.
Somewhat more relentless than watching other leagues.
You listen to a lot of them that are honest, and I think it catches a lot of them out. I think they go, oh yeah, I've played top level football in Germany. I've played top level football in Italy. But I think it's just a different game of football. It really is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Arsenal, they've done some sensible business. Players like Eze, when I saw that go through, I was slightly concerned because he's a kind of player, especially against us.
He can turn the game on its head. Yeah.
So I think they've gone out to sign players to win these games, more so against the lower teams that kind of put their blocks in place and go from that way. So yeah, I think Arsenal have strengthened. They've gone for it. They've not shied away from it.
You would then, push it further afield and ask the question: Is it now or never for Arteta and his Arsenal team? If he's got the players in that he's wanted,
Zubamendi was wanted by everybody.
Absolutely,
he nearly came to us last year, didn't he?
I think it was all off the back of his performances in the Euros, wasn't it? The fact that he was the understudy to Rodri, and Rodri, who at the time was Player of the Year, won the
Ballon d'Or off the back of that. And to come on and not look like anyone had changed on the pitch, you could see why he was in such popular demand.
Absolutely, but he was a bit of a hometown soul, wasn't he? He didn't want to leave Sociedad. Very much a homebody, they were saying. So I was quite surprised that he ended up at Arsenal. But I mean, his teammate came last season, didn't he? Mikel Merino. So maybe that might have
does help.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, but I think they've made some smart signings. Christian Norgard, just a steady player, level-headed. Maduaki was a surprise. Didn't think he was.
He didn't look out of place last season. Not last season. Sorry, last game. So, yeah, Madueke doesn't look out of place in that Arsenal team. He didn't look particularly bad at Chelsea from what I remember seeing. So in terms of the eye test.
He's always played really well when he's been in the England squad.
Yeah.
He's looked good. He's looked like one of the promising players on the pitch, as we know with some of the England performances.
Yeah.
There's not many that shine, and he's had a few games lately where I've thought he's looked pretty decent.
Absolutely. Moving on from them, I can't remember whether we talked about Eze or not.
We briefly touched on Eze.
Okay, quality player, good signing. We all know. Well, I'm pretty sure we all know what Arsenal are going to get with him.
He probably leads on to the next, their biggest signing, Gyökeres. I think Eze will probably provide a lot of service for Gyökeres.
He'll get it on both channels, I think, from Saka and Eze, and even if what's his face? The midfielder.
Odegaard.
Odegaard. Well, I had a complete brain fart there. But yeah, Odegaard, if he can get back to what he used to be, from a couple of seasons ago, I think there's no reason why Victor Gyökeres can't get the service that he needs to score the goals.
It will be interesting. I call it the Haaland effect. Will he come into a team that is so well drilled to be playing without a centre forward that they don't know how to provide service for a centre forward? Is he going to score lots of goals when he gets stuff, but not have much more than that because there's a team playing around him that are playing a different sport almost?
It'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
Yeah, or are they going to work to his strengths? Yeah, not much more from Arsenal. They've got nothing really to note about. They've lost a few. Well, they've lost quite a lot of players, but kind of Partey will leave him to the side for obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons.
They've lost Tierney, Tomiyasu, which were all pretty big squad players last year, but rightly or wrongly, I think
they've definitely consolidated this season.
Yes. So next kind of contenders, we can take a look at Tottenham. I keep throwing in there because I thought they were going to do more just because Thomas Frank. I like Thomas Frank as a manager. I think he's got the potential.
Agreed.
Some impressive signings, Xavi Simons, João Palhinha.
Quality player. I think Chelsea were touted with getting Simons for quite a bit. And then obviously Spurs have come in and swooped in and got him. Very good signing.
I think Chelsea made so many signings. I think they now put players off. I think players look at them and go, well, yeah, the money's there, the contracts are there, the potential's there, but am I ever going to set foot on the pitch?
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's the whole getting lost in the shuffle. Yeah, agreed.
Kudos from West Ham, I think, is a very good signing for them.
Great player. Yeah. He's changed the way Spurs attack.
Yeah. And then, just Matthias Tell, some pretty solid players, really. It's hard to compare when Liverpool have had such a wonderful transfer window.
I know, it really does make it seem like everything else isn't as good, to be honest with you.
Well, it was such a whopping transfer window. And, well, net spend's still quite low. We're only in the 200 millions now.
I mean, you say only that.
Yeah, but you consider that Man United have spent 200 million on their front three that they bought in. and how's that doing them?
I know. I do love to laugh at Manchester United as for the just the sheer fact that in the 90s they made me so miserable, and now it's just so glad. I'm so glad that the shoe is on the other foot, and they just seem to have complete donkeys running them. Whoever's authorising these signings. I mean, you look at the players that they bought, the money that they spent on Anthony, and obviously he's just gone to Betis. But for what? For like 20 million or something, 21 million. That's all they paid for him. And United paid, what, close to 70, 80 million for him?
It depends how their contracts are arranged, though, because if it's a net spend over 6-year contract, they haven't lost that much because they wouldn't have paid that much out. So it depends what the contract agreements are. But even still, like, you look how well he's doing to sell him for that kind of price. I know Betis is a slightly easier league to be in, etc., but is it? Well,
I mean, he's not going to be as bullied as he was here, or maybe he makes his decision making. It will be somewhat less questionable than it was over here when he was in a United shirt.
While we're talking about United, I see they finally signed a goalkeeper today, as they were saying that we didn't have a problem. And
the guy that we thought was related to the son of Jens Lehmann, but is Lahmann or something or other. So no more on Arna then. I don't know if he got shipped out or if he's just going to just languish in the reserves.
I'm going to miss the memes from that.
I know, right? He really was the gift that kept on giving. Much like Ruben Amorim has been for the defeat against Grimsby. Those memes just keep getting more and more relentless.
We were talking about it in the week. There's certain things managers will always be remembered for, and you remember the Wally with the brolly that's been thrown out on so many platforms. Absolutely. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be Amorim with his magnet board or whatever we want to call it. But
It's quite amusing, to be fair.
Yeah, moving around to teams in and around us in the league. Chelsea's transfers, I don't think we've got enough time to go through every transfer they've done. They've done so much business. I think they're nearly at 60 transfers in the last 2 years or something, which is insane.
Bonkers. They could fill a team 3 times over with what they've bought.
Yeah.
And probably fill a hotel and the women's team, which they sold back to themselves.
Yeah, some good signings and some interesting signings there. João Pedro, I think. Liam Delap.
Quality buy, yeah.
Yeah, very
Liam
good
Delap
strikers
as well, yeah, absolutely.
Then Garnacho. Like he's a talented player, but you see
Again,
how he was at United.
It's attitude, isn't it? It's all about attitude. Whether or not he's going to be cut out for it or just be another sort of flash in the pan, God knows.
I think Chelsea now are very firmly a business and they're buying and selling assets.
Yeah.
So they're buying assets. They know they can get at bottom of the market. They'll try and get them to play a bit and add some value to them. And
I mean, they're run by a consortium, aren't they?
Yeah.
So.
And then, so many players have left Chelsea this season. I think I can't even count them. There must be 20 plus players that have left.
The most notable being Madueke going to Arsenal. I think that was a pretty big one in terms of going from London to London and potentially to dare I say top 4 teams, top 5 teams.
You'd argue it's a direct competitor.
Yeah,
like it's
never sell to your rivals, right?
But business is business in their eyes. So Chelsea very, very busy.
Right,
we'll see how it works. I know they've had some interesting stuff going on today. So surprisingly, Liam Delap going out injured, so they've tried to cancel Jackson's transfer out to Bayern Munich.
It didn't work in the end, did it? I think he did. He did end up.
He's gone, for a fee of 70 million. How on earth they've managed to get 70 million for a guy?
That is incredible business.
Did he play last season?
I remember watching him in a couple of games. I can't remember if it was this season or season before. It must have been last season. Where I just thought, who is this guy? And
his first season, he came and started playing consistently in the first team. He was actually doing really well. He was scoring quite often when he was getting the service. I thought he was quite promising, but then. Well, Chelsea have bought every player going. You just don't get a look in. So I can't blame him, to be honest. You get told you're not needed, trying to sell them to anybody that will have them because he was linked with Newcastle at one point. They were trying to sell him off somewhere else. And fair play to him, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to think about yourself and not.
Yeah, and then they were going to, were loaning Gui to Sunderland.
Oh, yes, right. They've called him back,
yeah. So Delap's injury is actually really shaking things up, which is interesting.
Yeah, that is.
I think injuries have been quite key to a lot of transfers. Eze to Arsenal was silent until Havertz got injured.
Of course.
And then all of a sudden, next day, deal done, here he comes.
Well, because he was on the cusp of signing for Tottenham, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And the fallout from that was quite interesting. The fact that Banksy had done a mural and it had just been absolutely decimated by Tottenham fans was quite a little talking point. But I was watching the game the other day, yesterday in fact, and the Arsenal Liverpool game. I should be a bit more clear. And they were talking about how Eze, he's a gooner basically through and through.
Yeah.
It was only ever going to be them that he really wanted to sign for, and as soon as they came in and made it known, it was a very simple decision for him, apparently.
Yeah, again, the bigger club flexing their muscles. He might be a gooner through and through, but I think you turn around and say, well, we're contending for the league, we're contending in the Champions League. We didn't finish 17th last season. It kind of goes a long way, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It does play its part.
Team you can never write off, Man City. As much as to be said, they've lost their fear factor. I think a Pep Guardiola team that's bankrolled by substantial amounts of money, you can never write off.
Well, yeah.
Who've they brought in? Nori, thought was a good signing from Wolves.
Yep.
He's very well last season.
Yep.
Reinders, who had a phenomenal start.
He just disappeared the last couple of games.
Shirky, who was given ups and down reviews.
So I said earlier on in the podcast that it was Marmoush injured. I meant Cherky.
Yeah, that's the one.
Ryan Cherky was injured.
Yeah, and then they've obviously brought James Trafford back. So
interesting because with them having brought him back and the fact that now Donnarumma, which I mean at this stage hasn't been confirmed, but looks to be almost a done deal. I think they've submitted the papers for the deal. That makes things very interesting because obviously the other way, Edison has gone to Turkey.
Yes.
So I wonder what that means for James Trafford, having been pulled back in and thinking that, oh, right, I'm going to be, basically taking Edison's place. And then all of a sudden now, and, Donnarumma's been
I hope he doesn't come back. Games we played against PSG, and if it wasn't for him, I think we'd have been Champions League final.
I know, right? I'm slightly puzzled as to why PSG thought, let's get rid of him. Was it a wage issue? Because it can't be an age or performance issue. The guy's a very good goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I don't understand that one.
I wonder if it's clash of personalities more than anything.
Yeah, perhaps.
You never know what happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But some players, they win everything at a club and go, well, I've done my job here. Next, want a challenge. Who knows? Interesting releases and transfers out from Man City. Kevin De Bruyne is obviously gone. That's going to be a huge miss. I know he was injured a lot, but I think he was their engine in the middle of that pitch.
Yeah.
The heartbeat of that team. So
well, I think he'll do well at Napoli. I can't see him, struggling too much. And obviously he's got a Scott McTominay out there to keep him company.
who's set the world alight being out there.
He got Player of the Year in Italy, I think, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which is incredible to be languishing in. Although to be fair, he was used by every manager that he played under, but just seems to be like a revelation out there.
Yeah, he's found his feet. He's been given the run. I think that's what he needs. This transfer window I'd sum up is the transfer window of strikers. I think everyone's been desperate for a striker. I think strikers, some of them have been very overpriced, and I think my look forward for this season is you've got Sesko, you've got Gyökeres, you've got Ekitike and Isak.
Yeah,
Haaland's still around. We'll see what the smartest business was. I think.
Yeah, you can't fault our business this summer in who we've brought in. I think we've got two of the very, very best in Isak and Ekitike.
Ekitike surprised me.
I think he surprised all of us. We thought I might take him, I don't know, a season or maybe even half a season. I don't know, but not to hit the ground running in the way that he has. And the fact that he has, I'm all for it.
Well, he nearly got 3 and 3, didn't he? It was only that Gakpo was offside for he bundled it into net. I've got a lot of time for Ekitike, watching him against Newcastle where they were trying to push him around the pitch. Dan Burn was trying to crunch him and he didn't react to a single thing.
Yeah.
And I think that sums him up, and I think he'll do well, really
agreed.
well. That's the teams up and around us. I think we'll have a quick chat about what we think of the best business or most surprising business through the league. I know we've both been talking about it through the week, but Jack Grealish to Everton.
See, that is really surprising because you'd have thought that, and I don't know, maybe it's because there was a huge price tag on him in the first place, but when he transferred to City,
100 million.
Yeah. Part of me thought maybe more teams would come in for him, like higher, no disrespect. Well, actually, disrespect to Everton. I don't care. But no, all joking aside, I thought that, somebody slightly higher up in the league, so to speak, would have come in for him, maybe a Chelsea's or Arsenal, or someone would have come in for him. He could have done a job for Arsenal, potentially on that left side, but obviously they got Eze.
Yeah.
But I don't, I can see a bit of a renaissance to him.
He's a joy to watch. He's like someone's just had his wings let free.
Yes.
He's back to playing. They did interview him after the first or second game, and he wound himself back in because they were probing about not playing in structure and not being pep ball, basically.
Yeah.
And he started and he wound himself back in. He said, no, there's different ways of playing football, but I'm enjoying my time here. I think, Everton, as much as it pains me, have been smart. They got Dewsbury Hall from Chelsea.
Another good boy, yeah.
So I think they've been quite smart in this transfer window. I think without them, well, they've won 2 out of 3 already, haven't they?
Yes,
so
yeah.
They only won 10 last season, I think, so they're halfway there.
They did well to bring back in David Moyes. I think he added something just generally, I mean, I think West Ham were a bit mad to let go of him because you can say that football wasn't necessarily the most easy on the eye under Moyes, but what he does offer is a very steady ship.
Yes.
He shores a team up, and again, it may not be attractive football, but West Ham won the Conference League, didn't they?
Yeah.
The Europa Conference League under him. So he's won the trophy in Europe. He's got a proven track record. Okay, it didn't go, as well as it could have done for him at Manchester United, but...
Well, talking of Manchester United, there were fans phoning into 606 the other night after the games that have happened in the week and the weekend, saying it's the worst. We should have never left David Moyes, and they're all there chanting for him to be out. Just some interesting transfers. Sunderland signing Granit Xhaka.
Yeah,
like from a title-winning team out in Germany to coming to a team that are basically going to be relegation battling the whole season. Like,
yeah, he didn't. They won at the weekend, didn't they? They beat Brentford, surprisingly.
Yeah.
I thought they would have had a hard time with that. But
quality bit of business that is, because I think, well, you look at how he was out in Leverkusen.
Yes.
And he ran the show. So if he brings any of that with an experienced head on his shoulders...
he does have a bit of a temper on him, though, doesn't he?
He did when he was at Arsenal. Whether he's matured a bit and that's calmed down, we'll see.
Time will tell.
Yeah, interesting transfers that happened. Burnley getting Kyle Walker. I didn't see anything about that, and then just saw him lining up
All
at the
of a sudden,
weekend.
I know, right? That was absolutely crazy. I think I remember just sticking on either Sky Sports or Match Today and thinking, is that Kyle Walker? What? How on earth?
Yeah.
Very under the radar, that one.
Yeah. But yes, I think good business had by quite a lot of teams. And it, as we like to say, yes, we're Liverpool fans, but bringing the best talent to the Premier League to have the best football week in, week out is what it's all about at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I do feel quite spoilt.
So, yeah, I think that just leads us into what's to come. So it's international break. So we've got a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so there won't be any podcasts. Will be preempted for the next couple of weeks. Just enjoy the international break and have a bit of a wind down from the transfer window and everything, all the fallout and that and all the like. I'd say that we'll probably be back in a couple of weeks after the international break, and hopefully if you're enjoying it, let us know. We are on iTunes at the moment and hopefully on Spotify at some point in the coming days.
Nice.
Other than that, all I'd just like to say is thank you to James for joining me again.
Oh, thank you.
Give another shout out to Sam. Get well soon, mate. That's our producer, Sam, who without him and his expertise, we would be floundering. Take care all. Enjoy the transfer window fallout. Enjoy the international break. And we will see you on the flip side of that. Take care. Godspeed. God bless.
See you later.